Hello, good evening, Happy New Year. Welcome.
New Year.
Yes, New Year, New Age, New Year, New You. Hello, good evening, Happy New Year. Welcome to another episode, the 301st episode of your favorite day podcast, A Couple of Things. 301 is important because this is day one of a new year.
Alright, this is the end of the intro.
Yes.
Alright. Okay, so what are we talking about?
How are you today?
Why don't you just like to go straight into the business of the matter?
I'm asking you, how are you? Shouldn't I ask you how you are? I have
Okay,
home training.
I'm fine. I'm still on my birthday high. How are you?
I'm fine. How was your birthday?
It was amazing. I made a whole episode about it yesterday.
Okay, so I can't just ask you how your birthday was.
No, refer to yesterday's episode.
Okay. What do you want to talk? What's on your mind today?
What do you mean what's on my mind today?
What's
It's
on your
your
mind?
episode. You're supposed to be the one talking.
It-
The only thing on my mind today is still my birthday.
Your birthday. Okay. Well, since we're talking about your birthday, what have you been up to lately apart from your birthday?
Literally my birthday.
Have you seen anything interesting? Have you done anything else interesting that you want to talk about?
Just my birthday.
Okay. Got it. So I'll build the cats. So, aside from your birthday, I was watching this show called Hotel Cocaine, and there was a scene within the show that was interesting to me, where this guy, drug lord, has money, exiled from Cuba, has money now. He literally tells his brother that, hey, I've had access to the best chefs from all over the world, thousands of women, thousands of chefs, but this random Mexican woman I found from I don't know where, makes the best food I've ever eaten. And he now said she cooks it exactly like our mother. And it got me thinking, and that's what we're talking about. You're very rich, you have access to the best chefs in the world, and the best, you can find any food you want. That's because you found a random quote unquote woman who probably also grew up in poverty like you. She makes the best food you've ever had just because it is the same as your mother's own, who probably also grew up in poverty. That's what I want to, let's deconstruct that.
Whew, okay. So where do you want to start deconstructing from?
I don't know.
Okay, I think I've talked about something similar on the podcast before about how we have these ideas of how this is the best way to cook a specific meal. But really it's just how your parents or your grandparents or your great grandparent, well, what am I saying, parents, mother, your grandmother, your great grandmother, or your great great grandmother cooked it, because that's what was available in the environment in which they grew up in, and so it just became the way. But it's not really the way, it's just the way that you know how to, based on the circumstances around you.
Do you have any examples you want to share?
I mean, let's start with,
I remember one actually.
okay.
Okay, I guess this is one of those episodes where we're going to go personal. Like the first time you saw me cooking plantain and you were like, why am I slicing it like that? That I was slicing it in the wrong way.
I don't remember this, by the way,
Good.
but if you say I did it, I believe you.
Hey, God, wahala. So if we go for, so is this how we're going to go for like a game show and I say something and maybe the price is like 5 million euros or 10 million euros and then you at that point decide you don't remember it?
Well, I don't just decide to remember or not remember things. I just don't remember it. But back to the topic at hand.
Women are your greatest ops.
If you insist, back to the topic at hand.
I've said my own, you said you don't remember.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm not saying you're lying now. I just I do remember.
Okay, your own example that I may remember.
But we both know you have the better memory,
Okay.
right? But yeah, it sounds like something that could have happened. But we also do with like, I think there was one time we made pasta, some jollof pasta thing, and it was like, why are you making it that way? That's not how to make it. Because that was not just, that's the funny thing is I don't think that jollof pasta was a thing that my mom made for us. It was just I don't know how I learned to cook jollof pasta in particular, but I just had a way of cooking it, and because you didn't cook it that way, I was like, this is wrong.
Okay, speaking of pasta, which is even a funny thing now, speaking of pasta, I've actually discovered or realized that the way I make pasta now is not the way I used to make it in Nigeria. And a very funny thing is like pasta as a meal, I also now make it faster here
Mm-hmm.
than when we were back in Nigeria. So that's I'm just here imagining maybe one day like my mom, my brothers, or someone who saw me make pasta in Nigeria will come here and see me making pasta and they're like, this is not how you used to do it before. Or you're no more doing it right.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's very interesting. And I remember, like, I've had this conversation with many friends as well, and they all have a story or two of the same thing about how their partner made a meal in a way and they were confused because this is not how we used to do it in my own house growing up. Was this? And I find that interesting. And even in the broader, and it applies to like even beyond food, right?
Sorry to go back. I just realized something. The reason why we have all those problems, no offense to anybody, if you have any offense, take it up with management of the podcast. The reason we have those problems is because Nigerian foods or even Nigerian culture, we don't have a history of documenting things, so we don't have recipe. Like, look at it now.
I strongly disagree, but go ahead.
If someone comes here and eats my food and says, you must give me the recipe, what do I know I want to tell the person? Like, I made the food based on vibes, based on measurements. Yes, it was nice, but it's based on vibes and measurements. That's why somebody else will say you're making it the wrong way. Why? Tell me the right way. There's no evidence that there's a right way or there's a wrong way. And this is also why our foods do not scale.
I thought you were going to say poverty.
No, I didn't want to do the poverty.
But yeah, but I don't think that the problem is that there's lack of documentation because we do have a strong culture of passing down things orally, and that's how you know how your grandmother and your great grandmother, your great great grandmother were cooking this particular thing. So there is a culture of I don't want to say preservation, but I don't know the word.
You baked cake yesterday
Yeah,
with a recipe.
which I didn't follow.
Okay, but you shall bake cake yesterday with a recipe.
I didn't follow 100%.
Okay, no wahala. Nigeria, we do akara, we do chin chin. Do you know exactly how your great grandmother made akara or chin chin?
No, but I don't know how somebody's great grandmother did it. I just know how somebody documented it. There are a lot of when you Google recipes, don't you see a lot of Nigerian recipes? There's Sisi Yemi, there's Kiki's Foodies, there's Sisi Jemima, there's Ozo's, and these are just people that I know personally. Well, not personally, like they're my friends, but like I know of them. And there are many, many others, and people are doing that work of documenting. And the thing is, my point is that even what they have written is not the way to make it. It's just the way that they have made it, and they know it to be made based on their own experiences. That's my point.
Okay, maybe assignment for us is to ask our parents if they had Nigerian specific recipe books in their era.
That's a different conversation. Why are you taking the conversation there? But you know, answer my question before you came here.
Which is
Talking about like I was talking about that whole. This is not how we used to do it in my own house growing up, but now in a context of like a romantic relationship. It's not just food. There are other things, right?
yes.
Okay. Do you have any example of other thing?
I think because the most common internet one is not toothpaste.
Yeah.
So we're just going to steer clear of that topic. Everybody can fill in the blanks on their.
But yeah, I think it's just a thing that is normal to, and even with friendships as well. Like there are friends that maybe you go on holiday together, or you go and sleep over in their house or whatever, and then they cook something or they give you something, and you're like, not be so they do, and then they're like, well, this is how I do it, and then it's like just an interesting thing to know about your friend that you didn't know before. But yeah, do you want to say anything else?
Happy New Year.
All right, I guess that's it for today. On to number facts.
There are 64 days left in the year. Today is October 28th. And on this day in history, in 1929, it was known as Black Monday. Basically, one of the earliest Wall Street crashes of 1929. Before all the ones we're now used to every 3 weeks.
All right. Thank you. Other number date facts for today. On today in 2007, Cristina Fernandez de Kirchner became the first woman elected president of Argentina. And yeah, I think that's the only other number facts, yes. For number 64, 64 is the total number of black and white squares on the game board in chess or drafts. 64 is also the maximum number of strokes in any Chinese character, and it is the size in bits of certain data types in some computer programming languages. And finally, it is the square of 8, the cube of 4, and the 6th power of 2. Thank you for listening. That's it for today. Bye. Thank you for listening to today's episode of A Couple of Things. If there was anything you found interesting or insightful, or you enjoyed the episode, please do share to someone or multiple people. Like, leave a comment, and definitely do subscribe and all the nice things. Bye.